After the Civil War, Sierra Leone was left with a disrupted educational sector. The devastating effects on the educational system include shortage of teaching materials, delay in paying of teacher salary, and overcrowded classrooms. The government has placed education at the top of its agenda. The FURAH College Alumni Association UK, an organization with the aim to advance education at FURAH College FPC, has organized a symposium to discuss matters relating to the college and institution, which was once referred to as the Athens of West Africa. AYV's Mariam Jabi has more.
Professor Arthur Onapide Hollist elaborated on the topic, an overview of the theme, past, present and the way forward, indigenizing the curriculum and caring for faculty, back to the future for tertiary education in Sierra Leone.
We're looking for people like you who have been successful in your fields to take a student or two by the hand and inspire them to follow your example, to understand the tricks of the trade, and to enable them to achieve their fullest potential at college and in the world of work.
His Excellency Ambassador Rashid Sissay spoke on the topic.
My engagements with the universities here, as we work with the Ministry of Education in Sierra Leone, so that they can also collaborate with these universities here. I will not contact the universities directly. It is always through the Ministry of Education that we try to connect these universities. Based on my discussions with most of these universities, they are also very much keen on partnership and collaboration with universities in Sierra Leone. So I know the potentials exist. It's a matter of how we take advantage of these potentials in this part of the world.
Maximising opportunity and collaboration with partner institutions.
One of our strategies is around collaboration. We want to bring diasporas who are out. We have a lot of educated people who studied at FURAH College and have moved out of Sierra Leone, not just Sierra Leone at FURAH College, but Jala and other educational institutions in Sierra Leone, and are working in the diaspora in the United States, in the United Kingdom and other places. They have a lot of fantastic knowledge which we want to draw back and help build our nation. I believe Sierra Leoneans have a lot of potential, and I believe that if we all give something back to the country, however small, whether it's free lectures, whether you're able to write a little paper and help at university, that all makes a difference. I think we own our own destiny, and I believe if we are able to support our own students at the university, encourage them to become innovative, encourage them to understand what's required at the university and in Sierra Leone in general, then we'll make a big difference in terms of producing better students, better graduates who are able to go on and resolve the problems that we have in Sierra Leone.
The symposium was a conference of intriguing discussion on FURAH College and by extension the education system in Sierra Leone. Speakers debated the significance of education and its
the support of education at FURAH College. As you know, it is a beacon of tertiary education. So my vision at the moment is very much to do with that sector, and it's about galvanizing capacity and collaboration right across. And this is amongst alumni, but also friends and supporters, wherever they may be. The pedigree of FURAH College is huge, as I'm sure you're aware. This university was founded in 1827 after the demise of the University of Timbuktu within the Mali Empire 200 years before. So you can imagine what it meant for there to be an avenue for Africans to be able to gain higher education, and you may be aware as well that it actually set the pace in terms of African thinking, especially during the time of independence. So there was some Pan-Africanism, but also it created that cadre of African leadership, of West African leadership. And at the time, I think I mentioned it earlier, we had people from different countries that attended FURAH College. So obviously, you had Sierra Leoneans, but then you had Cameroonians, Nigerians, Ghanaians, Guineans. You also had Zimbabweans. right across the board. And we had during my time, we even had students from Kalamazoo in Michigan. They'd come for a year or a couple of terms. So yeah, I think the potential is enormous. You can tell by the speakers that we've had. And I really liked what His Excellency Ambassador Rashid contributed, in terms of sort of collaboration with partners. Also what Professor Arthur Hollis spoke about, a sort of a very radical look about indigenizing the curriculum. But then again, I think that really has to be done with a lot of care and balance.
Our focus at the moment is to see how we can galvanize alumni of Fabric College worldwide. Initially from Sierra Leone, we've got a number of Sierra Leoneans who are based in Sierra Leone from Fabric College. We've also got alumni who are more or less in the wider world, in America, Canada, etc. So the focus is to see how we can galvanize and raise funds within all associations so that we can support the university with regards to resources, with regards to scholarship programs, with regards to teaching materials, with regards to a number of other areas.
There was emphasis on the need for partnership in addressing the challenges students face in Sierra Leone. Mariam Jabi for AYV International.
Mariam Jabi there with that report. This is it for now. For AYV International News with me, Alpha Jallo. Thank you for joining us.
before you in your presence with nothing but gratitude in our hearts. Thank you for the gift of life, and we thank you for every individual in our midst today. Thank you for bringing us into each other's lives and for granting us the opportunity to work together for this great company. We commit ourselves unto you, O Lord, and surrender this symposium into your able hands. We thank you for giving us the opportunity to work in unison, and we pray that we have a successful meeting. Take over our minds, our hearts, our intentions before we begin this symposium today. As we now assemble, we ask this meeting, dear Lord, we pray that you will be done to us and unto others. May we achieve success in what we do. We will discuss today and give us the knowledge necessary to make this symposium a success. This we pray, trusting in Jesus Christ our Lord. Amen.
Now pass on to our Muslim chaplain, Karamo Daba, to give us the Muslim prayer.
Thank you. Assalamu alaikum.
Recording in progress.
Wabarakatuhu. As the Muslim chaplain, I am here to pray for all of us, the college, the administration, our leaders, the executive body of the FBC Alumni Association here in the UK. Ya Allah, we pray fervently that you bless us all with your favors, and you bless our leadership, the knowledge, the understanding, and the resilience to be able to forge on the good works as you described in the first chapter of the Holy Quran, which puts premium on education. Education in the sense, there are three things that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala prescribed that even after death, you will always get blessings for. The barakah you get for education, passing knowledge from one person to the other, is very important. So we pray that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala continues to bless us with His grace and our leaders. And in Surah Al-Iqra, God mentioned two Iqras. It says, Iqra bismi rabbika alladhi khalaqa al-insana min alaq. Then He says again, Iqra wa rabbuka al-akram. It says, seek education, and then you will conquer your environment, you will conquer this world. And FURAH College, as we know it, has provided education for thousands and thousands of people. In that respect, FURAH College is very close to our hearts, and everything we're doing today to promote the cause of FURAH College, inshallah, may God bless us and bless our leaders. Students, past and present students, the administration FURAH College, our Alumni Association, inshallah, may God bless them all, ya Rab. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين آمين.
Good afternoon, welcome. I am Madonna Sandra Howard, and the organizing secretary for FURAH College Alumni Association and the Symposium project lead. When we started planning this event, we thought about what we want to bring across to the general public, to the wider participation. We thought about our FBC and how when we were there studying and what FBC is like today. So the theme we thought about the theme is about past, present, and the way forward. This is a hybrid event. We have planned and organized and logistically, precisely made sure is going to happen today. Welcome, welcome, welcome. We are honored that you're all here today to grace this occasion, and we know you have taken out time from your busy schedules to be with us today. Okay, to be with us today. So I'm going to welcome the distinguished guests. We have present the Alumni Association. Tampa, Florida. Professor Violet Johnson joined us from Texas. We've got Dr. Ahmed, who is going to be in-house with us today. And then we've got in His Excellency Ambassador Rashid Sisay, the Sierra Leone's ambassador to United Arab Emirates, Bangladesh, and India, joined us from Abu Dhabi. And in Freetown, we've got panelists in Trudy Morgan, and we've got Professor Abdul John Kagbo and Dr. Tonya Musa, who's going to be joining us from Freetown. So as you can see, we've got guests from different parts of the world. It's a global alumni reaching out to you. And of course, I'm going to welcome the performance today, Alfred Chotaka and Abdul T going to be here. Our sponsors, AYV TV, who's going to video segment, and they're going to air us out in the international news sometime today. And I will give the housekeeping. If you want to use the restroom, you exit on your left, and straight ahead of you, you will have the restroom for male and female restroom. We have refreshment, tea and coffee, and during the break, we're going to have the performance and performance musicians to perform for the day. And welcome from America, Freetown, Sierra Leone. And I will hand over to you now to Mr. Bamikole Roberts, who is going to introduce the chairman. Thank you. And before I go as well, in Creole, una kushe, una kabo. And thank you for you guys to be here today. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Madonna, for the welcome. My duty this afternoon is to introduce the chairman of the association. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, it is a great honor and pleasure for me to introduce to you the first elected chairman of the FURAH College Alumni Association in the UK. And he's no other than Mr. Magnus Cole. Mr. Cole entered the Faculty of Economics and Social Sciences in FURAH College in 1979 and gained his economics degree in 1983. He is a product of the Sierra Leone Grammar School and the Albert Academy in Freetown, Sierra Leone. On completion of his undergraduate program, Mr. Cole went on to become an administrator and worked in administration of the American Life Insurance Company in Freetown. He also worked as an entrepreneur in the leisure, music, and tourism industries prior to his departing for the UK in 1987. His academic background comprises of economics, accountancy, and finance. He has worked as a senior business development and sales executive in the media, sales, and the global events industries, coupled with a range of entrepreneurial activities. He is a former chairman of the Sierra Leone Grammar School Old Boys Association here in the UK. I have personally known Mr. Cole for over 40 years, and recently we have worked very closely together in our charity work. And I can say for certain that Mr. Cole is an exceptionally hardworking, confident, and supportive professional with very strong work ethics and integrity. His commitment to duty and ability to lead and inspire others have won him much respect and assured strong relationships with members of the FURAH College Alumni Association. His considerable stamina and determination have seen him achieve where others have given up on many, many, many occasions. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, it is indeed a great honor to introduce this able gentleman, this distinguished gentleman, the first elected chairman of the FURAH College Alumni Association here in the UK, and he is no other than Mr. Magnus Cole. Thank you. Welcome, sir.
Thank you very much. I'll give this.
And this.
Okay. Yes, thank you, Mr. Bamikole Roberts, for those very kind words and your sentiments. I'm here to address all of you today for just about 10 minutes. It's a real opportunity to be here. And I'd like to thank all of you for participating, be it virtually or in person, wherever you are in the world, on behalf of the trustees, the executive body, and membership of the FURAH College Alumni Association. I'd like to thank our distinguished ladies and gentlemen, alumni, friends, and supporters who have taken time to join us. And I'd also want to just thank the speakers, panelists, and attendees as well, and delegates, because this is our inaugural event. St. Mary's University as well have been very, very cooperative, and the collaboration has been great. So yeah, thanks so much as well for working with us. In all things, I personally believe, brought up as a Christian, you know, it's important to give thanks to God. So foremostly, I give thanks to God and to my family. My mother of 84 years is in the audience, and I'm so grateful that she's here. Thank you, Mommy, for being here. I'd also like to thank Zuzella, my lady. She's at home, unfortunately. She can't make it today, for the support. Because, you know, we do these things, but there has to be a backbone. There has to be support. And yeah, she's believed in me, and my siblings have believed in me. And also my late father as well. I think it's important I mention him because he gave me hope in terms of what Sierra Leone could be. And when I look at the tertiary education sector now, I'm thinking, you know, this is where I think a lot can get done. So my role here today is to somehow set the stage, whereby the symposium theme, the past, present, and the way forward, will be jointly examined by all of us, okay? The reality is what we're sitting on here is what I believe is a big idea. Sorry.
That's okay. That's the button, sorry.
Okay.
Be careful, don't touch it again.
Okay.
If you can hold it from there.
Okay, thanks. Yeah, so as I did say, I think what we're sitting on here is a big idea. We have to remember that this institution was founded in 1827, and it was the fulcrum as to why Freetown, Sierra Leone as a whole really, was described as the Athens of West Africa. So the way I see it is, the past is very much about excavation. We're sitting on tremendous talent, tremendous resources around the world. And what we need is an effective ecosystem that can bring this all together for the betterment of Sierra Leone. And I mean, one of the most important things about where we're going is, our ideology or our thinking is based on 4 pillars. So we are apolitical, so we actually prohibit the politicization of issues. We prohibit tribalism, so we encourage diversity in all its forms. We prohibit, obviously, corruption and nepotism. I mean, these things are sort of, they should be obvious, but I think they have to be stated, especially in my role as the chair. I also think it is quite fortuitous that here we are in Black History Month, and we're doing this. We are paying homage, trying to create a vision for this institution that was founded in 1827, and for a very, very long time was a focal point for the development of individuals. And FURAH College trained the first cadre of leadership in West Africa to a large extent. And we have to remember as well, just going back into history, that it was the most significant thing to happen after the rise and the fall of the University of Timbuktu within the Malian Empire. So FURAH College was the next thing. So I do implore all of you, let us come together, let us build, let us use our talents, our resources, and create a structure that can be of such blessing to our people and the world in general. I think a lot of people are looking at this space, and it's not about any one individual here. It's about FURAH College. FURAH College is bigger than any one of us. We're looking at the past, you know, the people that came through it. And they came from all over the world. During my time, I remember, we had students from Zimbabwe, simply because of the unsettled environment at the time, from South Africa, from the Cameroon, from Kalamazoo in Michigan, you know, and from other parts of the world as well, Liberia, Guinea. It was amazing, and it was such a melting pot. Now, as I only have 10 minutes, I'll just very quickly talk about our mission statement. And what we're here to do is to facilitate the advancement of education at FBC as a beacon of tertiary learning while supporting our stakeholders. So we aim to cultivate solid relationships with our stakeholders, which is of vital importance. And these stakeholders are the executive administration and senior management of FURAH College and the University of Sierra Leone. And I want to thank Professor Lawrence Kamara and Dr. Tonya Musa for their assistance. They have been very, very welcoming, and they've accorded great hospitality to our members who were, well, we do have representation in Freetown, but we do have people that visit from the UK and other parts of the world. But anyway, it's so important that they do welcome us. We're looking to build a relationship with the lectureship, tutorial and professional staff as well. And I think Professor Arthur Onipede Hollis will be touching on that to some extent. And also with the student body, because that's the present. We want relationship, and also with the global alumni. What I'll do now at this stage, because I think it's clear that I'm here as chair, elected. I was first of all the interim chair, but I was elected, so I can't do this on my own. So what I'd like to do now is to very quickly introduce our executive team. Firstly, I'd like to introduce Mr. Mohammed Dabo, who is one of our trustees. Yep. Mr. Roland Gordon, another trustee. I'm sure you can all tell why I mentioned them first. I'm answerable to them. So that's really important. I'd also like to take this opportunity to introduce our very able, I'd say she's very much the backbone of the organization, Fatu Gassama. And next to Fatu is our money man. We're actually friends, but sometimes when we wear our professional hats, you would think we don't even know each other. I can tell you that for a fact. Mr. Bami Kole Roberts, please. And we look at, we're here today, and this is a symposium, and there's a concept, but where did it come from? It came from a high energy lady, the indefatigable Madonna Tucker Coward. She drove this vision, and we backed her. I'd also like to introduce the guy who is responsible for communicating our vision to the wider world. He's a man of a lot of detail, a stickler for procedure and all kinds of details. Can I introduce you to Mr. Alfred Seal Ture? And also we can be, here we are in London saying as much as we like, trying to raise as much as money we like. But to tell you the truth, if we don't have presence on the ground in Sierra Leone, nothing's gonna happen. And we do have Mr. Kweku Jang, who holds the fort in Sierra Leone and has been doing an amazing job. We have an individual who, at the moment, I believe is in Sierra Leone. This lady, when it comes to structure, I mean, in a sense, she's the whip. She puts everybody in their place, including myself. And I'd like to take this opportunity to introduce Mrs. Henrietta Oladuni Harding. And last but definitely not least, we have the gentlemen who bring decorum. They bring a sense of community, because we can go off on all sorts of tangents and talk about things, and they bring it into perspective. And as a result, there was a need to appoint a Christian chaplain and an Islamic chaplain or cleric. And I'd like to take this opportunity to introduce the Reverend Cyril Showers. And Mr. Karamo Dabo. And they've blessed the visionary aspect to what we do. So in wrapping up, I'd like to just very quickly tell you how this organization came about. We actually received a mandate in 2017, believe it or not, from Freetown. This was to do with the 190th year of the university. And can I just say, we need to bear in mind that FURAH College is going to be 200 years in 2027. So I think we're in a good place where we're now taking this concept, what we can become, to a place in 2027 where the brand will be restored, and yeah, it will just have a very, very deep meaning as to the potential of what it was set out to do. Also, just 2 points. I think I've exceeded my time, but I think I need to recognize His Excellency Rashid Sise. And the reason being is he got recognized this week, and he was awarded the Knight of Honor Award in Dubai by the Diplomacy by Asia One magazine and URS Media. And thank you that you've bought into what we're trying to do here. And yeah, we look forward to hearing from you. And finally, I'd like to thank our sponsors, Countdown Bar and Restaurant in Battersea. It is a place I recommend. I do frequent there from time to time. You know, I'm down there, lovely ambience. And also, I'd like to thank the Mortgage Option Inc. in Washington, D.C. For their support of today. And AYV. Thank you very much, AYV, for being here. You know, you guys are making a lot of strides. You're making a lot of strides. And I do know one of your directors quite well, Messe Leone, and I'm in contact with him. Yeah. So thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. And yeah, we need to get on now with the proceedings. Thank you.
Okay, now we're going to start the proceedings, and Ms. Fatoumata Gassama is going to introduce our keynote speaker today, Professor Arthur Onipede Hollis. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Can you hear me? Good. Good afternoon, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, our guests, and fellow members of the executive. I stand here before you today, tasked in a hall that's seen many scholars, introducing a scholar of the highest degree, and saying that he has the highest degree. This gentleman does have a doctor in philosophy. He is a gentleman and a scholar. Professor Arthur Onipede Hollis is our keynote speaker for today, and he'll be talking about our theme, which is FBC Past, Present, and Future. Professor Hollis achieved a Bachelor's of Arts from our FURAH College, University of Sierra Leone, in 1980. He moved to Nova Scotia in Canada to study for his Master's in Arts in 1983, and he finally achieved the pinnacle, his doctorate in philosophy at the University of South Florida in 1991. Arthur has taught composition, business, and technical writing, African American literature, which is very apt, as it is Black History Month here in the UK, and world literature. Professor Hollis has an interest in African literature, which encompasses published literary fiction, particularly post-colonial fiction. So some of you may have read books such as Things Fall Apart by Chinua Achebe. That's one of the books that he's probably really fond of. He is deeply involved in furthering business and cultural relations between Africa and America. As a member of the United States and Africa Free Enterprise Foundation, he developed an interactive multimedia critical thinking model for teaching about Africa and authored a pamphlet about the do's and don'ts of doing business in Africa. I'm sure there might be a lot of don'ts, but there are a lot of do's. He spent 2 years speaking about Africa on behalf of the Florida Humanitarian Council, and he's currently working on a novel exploring relations between Africans, African Americans, and Caribbeans. Ladies and gentlemen, Professor Arthur Onipede Hollis. He's our virtual keynote speaker for today. Thank you.
of the UK FURAH College Alumni Association, thank you for inviting me to share my ideas about our beloved institutions. Congratulations on the launching of the Scholarship Tuition Fund and Student Mentoring Program. Both symbolize caring in my remarks today.
Where is the speaker?
The other panel speakers, those of you at the St. Mary's University venue, online and on the phone, good morning, good afternoon, welcome, and greetings from a dank and dull Florida morning. I have titled my talk, Indigenizing the Curriculum and Caring for Faculty Back to the Future for Tertiary Education in Sierra Leone, and it previews the organization of my remarks. Part 1 will focus on indigenizing the curriculum, and Part 2 on caring for faculty. But I will begin with a brief explanation of why I accepted this invitation and a statement on the concept that underpins my approach. I accepted the invitation because of my 2017-2018 Fulbright experience at FURAH College. Typically, Fulbright scholars attached to African universities teach specialized upper-level courses that expand the curriculum. However, I did not. A Canadian professor currently teaching at FBC suggested that I would be most valuable if I taught first-year students. They need your subject area expertise, experience, and example, he explained. So it was that I signed up for a 110-person section of FBC's foundation course. Many of you remember that course. I taught the course on Kennedy Building's 9th floor. Without a mic, teaching involved much shouting. So like Moses, I parted the class into 2 sections and raced up and down the length of the room to ensure that students could hear me. The circumstances of the Kennedy Building and the caliber of the students, the fact that they lacked basic information about a university, forced me to revise my ideas and localize all content and frequently explain myself in Creole. By the way, I say that not to suggest that they couldn't understand English, but to suggest that I felt that in order to communicate to them effectively, Creole was probably the best way in which I could do that. Once I returned to the basics, faced the realities of teaching in my native land, figured out how to communicate with students, and with what content, my experience changed. My 2 semesters teaching in Kennedy Building have been, and I say this with much joy, the most enjoyable I have had in a 40-year career. I picked up many insights about teaching that had been obscured by the creature comforts of my US teaching environment. Those insights and the overall experience inform my comments today. My second reason for accepting this invitation is that I experienced faculty life, somewhat. For me, that involved physically finding classrooms in which to teach, an appropriate cafeteria that was free of loud student banter, a working bathroom close to my office, and a janitor to keep the office dust-free. I attended department meetings and extracurricular activities and spent many nights making hundreds of photocopies for distribution in class. My third reason for accepting this invitation is that I understand the university's problems and issues. When I introduced myself as a Fulbright scholar to the Vice Chancellor in 2017, he asked me to edit a 5-year comprehensive self-study/proposal. I found the document thoughtful and forward-looking,
It identified, mitigated, and proposed solutions and implementation strategies to an array of issues. So, while I have not systematically studied FBC, my overview of its problems and recent insiders' experiences form the basis of my comments. To the title, many will recognize in my subtitle the echoes of Michael J. Fox, of the Michael J. Fox movie, Back to the Future. However, the concept running through my use of the phrase comes from traditional African ideas of time, as explained by John Mbiti. Very briefly, and if Professor Mbiti, forgive me if I don't paraphrase you correctly, he points out that Africans face the past rather than the future as many in the West do. African lives stand in relation towards the ancestors, events that happened in the past, and knowledges and ways of doing that existed before the new ideas and dispensations of today. As I continue to speak, some of you will notice a strain of an Igbo saying made famous by Chinua Achebe. Fatumata mentioned Achebe and things fall apart, that a man who does not know where the rain began to beat him cannot know where he dried his body. In invoking these ideas about time, movement, and knowledge, I am striving towards anchoring indigenization as a walk back to the future. I use the word strive to convey the idea that this is a work in progress that can benefit from your insights. So I welcome suggestions and responses. Send them to ohollis@ut.edu. Indigenization involves making something more native. For instance, transforming a service, a practice, and an idea to suit local culture by employing indigenous people. However, I am saying we must make indigenization intentional. It must become a learned methodology, a teaching philosophy, and a delivery model in tertiary education, which currently...
To introduce our next speaker, His Excellency Ambassador Rashid Sisay, Sierra Leone's ambassador to United Arab Emirates, Bangladesh, and India, who is logging in or joining us from Abu Dhabi. Thank you. Before you start, I will pass on to Dorothy Lee to introduce the ambassador. Thank you.
Good afternoon, all. In my role as one of the moderators, as I've been introduced, my name is Dorothy Lee, and I'm also a FURAH. But my role here is to introduce our next speaker, His Excellency Ambassador Rashid Sisay, who is the Sierra Leonean ambassador to the United Arab Emirates, Bangladesh, and India.
She's got to come and take me to the top, but she has to get to me.
Shall I proceed? Okay. Rashid Sisay is the Ambassador Extraordinary and Plenipotentiary of Sierra Leone to the United Arab Emirates, India, and Bangladesh, where he serves at the pleasure of the President of the Republic of Sierra Leone. Based in Abu Dhabi, Ambassador Sisay represents the interest of the people of Sierra Leone in the countries under his portfolio, ensuring short bilateral and diplomatic relationships, providing consular services, and promoting international relations on certain areas of the government, such as trade, development, health, education, and culture. Prior to his current position, Ambassador Cissé had a long career in international and community development, driven by his long-standing commitment to the sustainable economic development and social progress. He was Director of Programs for Africa and Asia at HIFA International, based in Arkansas in the USA, an organization where he worked for almost 11 years. He was actively involved in the design and implementation of HIFA International's operational policies, strategies, and development initiatives, with a particular focus on enhancing resilience among smallholder farmers and resource mobilization, including strengthening relationships with donors, bilaterals, multilaterals, private sectors, etc. He joined HIFA International from the Development Assistant Coordination Office in the Vice President's Office of Sierra Leone. As Poverty Coordinator at DACO, he was actively involved in the preparation and implementation of the country's poverty reduction strategy, and ensured that all donor and NGO activities within the country were aligned with government's priorities. In his early career, he was a consultant for World Vision and Sierra Leone and Oxford Brookes University in the UK, and an aid worker in other organizations both in Sierra Leone and in Ghana. Ambassador Cissé holds a master's degree in development studies from University College Dublin in Ireland, and a bachelor's degree in agriculture general from Njala University in Sierra Leone. He's a self-described connector of people. In his multiple career roles, whether in development or diplomacy, he thrives by making people feel connected, safe, and valued. In all of his relationships, both professionals and personal, his success has been anchored on his ability not just to listen, but to hear people, both what he said and what is unsaid. This ability to communicate across cultural, religious, socioeconomic, national, and other lines has and continues to be critical to his success. It underscores his worldview and his career trajectory. Ladies and gentlemen, fellow FURAHites, I give you His Excellency, Ambassador Rashid Cissé.
Thank you very much, my dear, for that brilliant introduction of my humble self. I hope I'm audible enough for everyone. Mr. Chairman, trustees, members of the executive team of the FURAH College Alumni Association UK branch, online participants, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, greetings from Abu Dhabi, United Arab Emirates. I want to start by thanking the FURAH College Alumni Association UK branch for inviting me to speak at this symposium on a topic that is extremely close to my heart: maximizing opportunity and collaboration with partner institutions. Additionally, to be given a platform to talk about an institution with a huge historical background, an institution that has brought prestige, accolades, and recognition to Sierra Leone in the global arena, and that falls within the dream of every young Sierra Leonean. FURAH College, Sub-Sahara's first higher educational institution. The university has carved its name for excellence through the provision of quality education, not only to Sierra Leoneans, but from students across the African continent and across the globe. However, in recent years, our once renowned Athens of West Africa has not lived up to the attributes it was rightly acclaimed for. If we spend just a minute to ponder on this, we will get hundreds of varying reasons responsible for this situation, depending on who you choose to talk to. While we take those deep reflections, I urge us all to see this event as one which presents a unique opportunity to think and explore collaborative ways that will reposition FURAH College as the beacon of knowledge and excellence it once was known for. Mr. Chairman, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, there could be no better time to have such an educational dialogue than now. As you may be aware, the government of Sierra Leone, led by His Excellency President Dr. Julius Maada Bio, has placed human capital development as the anchor of its development priorities. In pursuit of this achievement of the human capacity agenda, I strongly believe that partnership and collaboration are critical enablers. And that's why I'm very happy to talk about this. Consequently, as Sierra Leone's ambassador to the United Arab Emirates, and in pursuing this vision, I have in March this year championed the signing of a memorandum of understanding between the governments of Sierra Leone and the United Arab Emirates to boost partnership and collaboration in the field of education. The MOU will undoubtedly build the framework for cooperation between public and higher educational institutions in the two countries through the holding of conferences, seminars, courses, research on science and technology, educational exhibition, exchange of faculty, staff, and lecturing on topics of mutual interest. My engagements with the universities here as we work with the Ministry of Education in Sierra Leone so that they can also collaborate with these universities here. I will not contact the universities directly. It is always through the Ministry of Education that we try to connect these universities. Based on my discussions with most of these universities, they are also very much keen on partnership and collaboration with universities in Sierra Leone. So I know the potentials exist. It's a matter of how we take advantage of these potentials in this part of the world. I thank you very much, and I want to particularly say special thanks to Sandra Kawa for facilitating my participation, and to Mr. Chairman Magnus Cole for the special recognition of my recent award of the Knight of Honor. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. I'm available if you have questions or clarifications that you want from me. I'm willing to respond to them. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, His Excellency Ambassador Rashid Sisay, and thank you very much for recognizing me for putting me to participate at that inaugural symposium today. I'm going to pass it on to the chairman and the panel and see if they have any questions for you, and then we'll extend that into the online virtual audience as well. If they have any questions, can you please put in the chat, and Ambassador Rashid Sisay is available in the next few minutes.
For postgraduate studies. But if you look at our curriculum, I don't think we have prepared undergraduate students for that. And so the requirements for them, they are not able to get from our students from Sierra Leone. So I think this is one area that we are really pushing, and I'm really pushing the Ministry of Education to focus on, to look at how we can review some of the curriculum that we have to match up with what is happening in modern day, so that you come out of university, you have a job, you've not studied something that doesn't allow you to grab a job quickly on graduation. So we need to look at those areas, whilst also trying to secure scholarships for postgraduate studies, so that we can go back and really contribute to the teaching staff back home.
Thank you very much.
We could also look at the library. I visited some universities here that have libraries that have really stocked books and other essentials that are needed back home. That's another area that we could look into, how we could benefit from the library stock that they have. We can use them back home. That's another area. So it's scholarship, it's curriculum review, exchange of faculty, so that we have students, we have lecturers to come and lecture here, and they are also interested in going back to Sierra Leone to lecture for a few weeks or months and back, so the share exchange of knowledge and expertise.
Good afternoon, Your Excellency, Ambassador Cisse. You mentioned the library as a focus. We actually do have an ongoing library project. We actually had a small fundraising evening a few months ago, and we, at the moment, was it last week, we had our external relations person, Mr. Kweku Jiang, and one of our executive members, Henrietta Harding, actually went to present pieces of they presented a tablet and money to be able for the library to create shelving for the books that are in the library but actually stored in an area that's meant to be an access for fire exit. So we have already started looking into the library as a means of, we can start small but we can effect big changes. I think maybe we would ask you if you could help us with things like, for the future, since we're looking at the past, the present, and the future. Since I was a student over 30 years ago, electricity is one of the things that the students lack. Solar panels might be something that you could speak to someone high up there to get for the students, because people are looking now at the future again. Green energy. Using generators isn't very green, creates a lot of carbon dioxide and fuel fumes, but we have the sun in Sierra Leone. We could use that sun to create energy to power.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Good evening to those of you who have managed to attend in person and those who are participating virtually. I'd like to start my humble address today by making it clear to everyone that what I am going to put forward to you is an important initiative being considered by the FURAH College Alumni Association UK Executive, which will then be discussed with the general membership for approval and eventual ratification. Today is, however, a unique opportunity that we cannot afford to miss, as we have a good number of our stakeholders present. It is called the FURAH College Alumni Association UK Scholarship and Mentoring Project. Two vitally important avenues of student support. Of course, with the passion that this organization has expressed and positively demonstrated in the past, especially through our implementation with your massive support of the FVC Library Project, which has now taken off with huge success, I have every reason to entertain complete optimism for a positive response from you and from our members. The library project attracted huge response from you and from supporters and sponsors all over the world. We're extremely grateful to you, our kind and generous sponsors, for your support. I would therefore pause for a moment to ask you in the hall and those online to unmute yourselves and give yourselves a resounding round of applause for a job well done. You definitely deserve that. I am therefore delivering this message on behalf of the executive, our members, and also the students of FURAH College, who are eager and hungry for success, but are held back by the obstacles that lie in their way, including financial barriers. Let me start with the mentoring project. We all know what this means to a young, ambitious, and aspiring student. We're looking for people like you who have been successful in your fields to take a student or two by the hand and inspire them to follow your example, to understand the tricks of the trade, and to enable them to achieve their fullest potential at college and in the world of work. Here is what some people have said about the importance of mentoring, and which I am sure you share. About the Apple computer, Kim Wise has said, that without mentoring, there'd be no Apple computers, and many of our great artists and industry leaders wouldn't be where they are today. Not everything can be learned from school or in the classroom, the internet or the library. Sometimes the only way to advance is to learn directly from someone who knows, and that can only be a mentor. Denzel Washington, one of the greatest film stars of all time, says, "Show me a successful individual and I'll show you someone who had real positive influences on his or her life. I don't care what you do for a living. If you do it well, I'm sure there was someone cheering you on and showing you the way. That was your mentor." A mentor is someone who sees more talent and ability in you than you see in yourself and helps bring it out of you. That's Bob Proctor. This is what we want you to do for our young people. So here then is a challenge. We know many of you who here today in person and participating online are successful in your fields of endeavor. We're therefore appealing to you, please, to kindly volunteer to take one of our students under your wings and allow them to fly the skies as you have done. Please give your name and address to our organizing secretary, Mrs. Madonna Sandra Coward, who, believe you me, in spite of our name, is one of the bravest and most courageous people I have met. As organizing secretary, she has led this organization of this event to this successful implementation. Now for my second function tonight. This organization would like to move another step forward by setting up a charity fund for the purpose of providing much needed funds to ameliorate the sometimes insurmountable financial difficulties experienced by students at FURAH College in the pursuit of their ambition. In that regard, we solicit very kind and generous donations from our members and from the general public everywhere around the world to enable us to sponsor those underprivileged students who may have the talent but lack the wherewithal to fund their education. Let us be clear about this, ladies and gentlemen. This initiative is born out of our belief in the vitality of education to the progress of the human race, and particularly to our country, Sierra Leone. Let us examine some principles that have driven and inspired this initiative. When I was at school, I was always motivated by the words of Thomas Gray in the elegy written in a country churchyard, a poem I read for my O-levels in English. It says, "Full many a gem of purest race in the dark and fathom caves of ocean bare. Full many a flower is born to blush and seed and waste its sweetness in the desert air." This is an exact reflection of the circumstances that bedevil our brothers and sisters, our sons and daughters in that ailing country where we know that talent exists in abundance, but there is a dearth of resources to help nurture them to blossom. With this project, and through your help, cooperation and generosity, we can help these blossoming flowers and these purest gems not to waste their sweetness in the desert air or lie buried under the ocean bed, but to be identified and utilized by society so that they can make their own positive contribution to the progress of Sierra Leone and to the advancement of the world at large, as many of you are currently doing. Do we not see vibrant examples of FURAHites all over the globe, making the world a better place in their own various fields? Do you not think we do have many more? But it is only with your help that these gems and blossoming flowers can be identified and provided with the necessary resources and support to release their fragrance, aroma, and their glitter to light up the world. We can't do it on our own. We have to depend on your kindness, your magnanimity, your generosity to accomplish this worthy ambition. I tell you what, I may not be a huge fan of Tony Blair, but I do admire one thing about him, which was embedded in his statement to the House of Commons when he became Prime Minister in 1997. Because of my passion for education, his words continue to resonate with me up to this day. He said to the British people, and I quote, "My government will have 3 priorities. They are education, education, and education." Making education the centerpiece of his administration is a clear and ringing endorsement of the value we all have to attach to education, and it must teach us a lesson that we can apply to our own circumstances. There is no better way to underscore the value and the importance of education to a country than what we are now requesting you to do for those struggling students and prospective students. We wholeheartedly depend on you to take us over this bridge and to translate our dream and the dreams of those underprivileged and disadvantaged children into reality. I can't end this speech without making reference to my idol, the legend that is Nelson Mandela. He says that education is a weapon that we can use to conquer the world. You do not need bombs and missiles to destroy a country. All you have to do is destroy their education and watch the devastating consequences that come in its wake. It is therefore a mission, a determination of the FURAH College Alumni Association UK to provide this mighty weapon, the pen that is mightier than the sword, to the younger generation to conquer the world. This can, however, be done only with your help, support, and commitment. So today for us is an absolutely important day, a day that we decide whether to irrevocably commit ourselves to the improvement of education in our country, or sit back and allow it to continue to slide down the slippery slope. A day when we have the opportunity to make known to you that we have no one else or nowhere else to turn to but to appeal to your humanitarian and charitable instincts to understand our plight and the plight of and predicament of the aspiring students of FURAH College who could become the next brain surgeon, the next astronaut or aeronautic engineer, the next medical doctor, the next architect, the next civil, mechanical or electronic engineer, or that teacher who educates them all to bring this world a better place for you, for me, for our children, and for our grandchildren. Let me remind you, ladies and gentlemen, that these youngsters have no other way of doing it. And this is why we appeal to you today to help us to accomplish our humanitarian mission. And with your support, we can do it. But we on our own can't. We would like to urge you to make it a moral and social responsibility and commitment to help us accomplish our mission. The potential beneficiaries can't speak to you today, but we can. And we ask you kindly the question, can you pledge to fund the education of an underprivileged student or two for a year or more? Can you help us boost our scholarship fund to in whatever way you can? If education and the plight and predicament of the underprivileged child strikes a chord in your heart, then please make it known today by showing your commitment through the various payment procedures we have available. We even have a card reader to make things easy for you. Our treasurer, Mr. Bami Kole Roberts, will be on hand to take you through if you encounter any problems. We believe in you. We trust you to come to our rescue. We are in desperate need. We know you appreciate the importance of this initiative, this mission, and you will come to our aid to help us accomplish our mission. By making a contribution to our scholarship fund, you are saving the lives of children and their families. By contributing to our scholarship fund, you are helping to take a child out of poverty and lifting a country towards progress and advancement. Who knows? You might even help us to restore our college back to its glorious former status of the Athens of West Africa. Would like you to help us make this dream a reality. So, for listening to me so attentively today, for your positive contribution to our scholarship and mentoring project, I salute you. And for the final time, this is Mohammed Dabo doffing my hat to you and wishing you the very best in life. And from the bottom of my heart, thank you. Thank you. Thank you for listening and for your cooperation.
We'll take it off you anyway. Yes, thank you very much.
Dabo, for that inspiring introduction of the scholarship fund. We are currently in the process of having this fund, and monies collected or raised will go into the, will be ring-fenced, and that will be specifically restricted to the scholarship fund. So I am currently uploading the account details, the bank account details of the Alumni Association, and after such an inspiring launching of the scholarship fund, if you think that you have been differently moved by that speech, and if you think that FURAH College and the outside world have done something positive in your life, and if you think that you can contribute to the life of somebody who is not so fortunate as some of us, if you think that you can make a difference in the life of someone, if you think whilst you are sitting at home or somewhere wherever you are right now, if you think that there is something to be done to help someone who, without your support, will not be able to achieve something in life, I am saying to you in a very, very appealing way that please accept that challenge now and do something about it. Whatever little you have can go into our scholarship fund to help someone who is not so who is not so fortunate as you. I think a friend of mine will not mind if I share this about him. It's a story that he mentioned to me some time ago, and what he said was that he was at the Albert Academy with me, and he was fortunate to be given a scholarship whilst he was at the Albert Academy, and a friend of his was not so fortunate. So the guy had to drop out of the Albert Academy. And this guy, who actually ended up with a scholarship, completed his GCSE in Sierra Leone. He went on to do his A-levels, and he got through to FURAH College, and he actually ended up with an accounting qualification as an accountant, chartered accountant. This same guy went to Freetown, and he met this friend of his who was a very smart guy at the Albert Academy but could not get a scholarship to continue. He met this guy selling at the Victoria Park. And then when he saw him, he said, "Oh, what are you doing here?" He said, "I'm not continuing my education because I did not have any scholarship to continue, so I had to drop out of the Albert Academy." And then this friend of mine said to him, "How much is everything that you've got here at this Victoria Park?" And he told him, I think it was about £50 sterling. And this friend of mine said, "You know what? I'm going to pay for everything that you have here. I'll give you the £50. So go and buy another set of stock and at least replenish your stock." This friend of his, who is selling at the Victoria Park, wept. So you can see the difference that the scholarship made in my friend's life. He ended up as an accountant, and the other guy ended up selling at the Victoria Park. So if you think that you can make a difference in somebody else's life, please do it. You will be saving a generation. So I'm currently now putting up the account details on the chart, and if you have any questions with regards to the scholarship fund, please put in your questions and then we'll definitely answer them. And we can even get back to you. Or if you have a question personally for me, just put that in the chat box and I will respond positively to you. Or for Mr. Dabo. If you have any question for Mr. Dabo, after such an inspiring speech, please put that personally to Mr. Dabo or to myself, and we will answer your questions. Thank you.
Okay, thank you everybody for your patience today. Yeah, well done, everybody. Well done to the early speakers who have been inspiring, informative, and interesting point of views as well, and questions asked. So we're kindly apologizing for the time.